Welcome back everyone, thanks for watching. As you can see here, we have 302 number 2. Because the original engine, pistons are stuck too bad. I don't want to mess with it that much. So I went with this option, an engine that turns over, that is not stuck, that has oil in it. I've already inspected it. I've taken the valve covers off, looked it over, it's clean inside. So I will bring you guys along for this engine disassembly. Whoops. Somebody tighten this down pretty tight. Unnecessarily tight. And it wasn't me. Looks pretty new. This is what it looks like underneath the valve covers. Heck of a lot better than last time. Some of you remember how the other engine looked. Not very good. It looks pretty clean in here. I'm going to remove the crank bolt next, but I do not own a impact. The only one I have is a 1/4 inch Milwaukee. It's not going to do it. So this is what I came up with. Put 2 crank bolts in there. Put my pry bar in there to block it. Keep it from turning. I could not get the crank bolt out right now. It was too hard to move. I couldn't move it with the breaker bar, so I'm gonna wait on that a little bit. I sprayed it with PB Blaster, so we'll come back to it. This is what we're looking at on the inside of this engine. Pretty clean if you ask me. Someone's obviously been in here before. Looks like silicone around the intake. Very clean in here though, which is very nice to see compared to the last engine. I'm going to change the oil right now, or not change it, empty it. So when I flip this engine upside down, it all doesn't come pouring out. It looks like it's full. It also looks like it's good oil. There's no oil in there. Okay. RTV on the exhaust manifolds. Whoever had this apart was not afraid to use RTV on everything. Here is the mess. You always have to have a mess when you do this, or else you're doing it wrong. Now remember, be careful where you're driving your cars at, so that doesn't happen. It's date coded as a 1972 block, for some of you that may be wondering. For those of you who are wondering, yes, they're all in order. I'm going to start taking out all these pistons so we can look at the bearings, because I know nothing about this engine. Number one, rod bearing looks good. So looks like we're taking apart an engine that was already rebuilt, but I did not know that, so we are just going to rebuild it again. All right, I took the pistons out and the crankshaft. Everything over here looks good. All the pistons look good. Couple things to note. This rear main seal was torn like that. Maybe it would have started a leak, maybe not. Still happy I took this engine apart because I didn't know what I was getting when I bought it. Now I know. All these crank bearings look good. Nothing out of the ordinary. No copper showing. The only problem, and I would barely call it a problem, is number 2 connecting rod bearings here must have had a piece of dirt in it when whoever was assembling this and made these 2 little grooves in the bearing. This one made it down to the copper. Going to the crank, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can see maybe just an ever so small scratch. But I think it'll be fine. Another thing to note on here is, wipe that off. Can you read that? It says U0110. Everything should be good.